Not all pain screams. Some sits in your chest, quiet, familiar, like a whisper that won't stop. But tonight you won't carry it alone. The Word of God will carry it with you. In a moment, you'll hear the first verse, but what it awakens might be what finally lets you rest. You're still here. That says something. Maybe you couldn't sleep, or maybe you just didn't want to be alone in the dark anymore. You've smiled through the day, laughed even, but now the lights are off and silence is louder than ever. So stay, let your heart breathe, and listen, not to me, but to something ancient, something sacred, something that still speaks in the silence. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. If your heart feels heavy, if your spirit feels crushed, He's not far. He's close. Closer than the fear. Closer than the ache. And maybe that's why you pressed play tonight. If you've ever felt unseen, unheard, untouched by comfort, stay. The next few verses were whispered for you. He is near to your sorrow, to your silence, to the part of you even you stopped believing could heal. Let it repeat inside you. Loneliness doesn't always look like sadness. Sometimes it just feels like no one would notice if you disappeared for a while. A study by the University of Chicago found that emotional isolation disrupts sleep quality even more than physical pain. But spoken words of reassurance, especially spiritual ones, activate the parasympathetic nervous system. It literally tells your brain, you're safe now. So breathe, deep, slow. Let this moment be your signal. It's okay to let go. If you leave now, you may carry the ache into tomorrow. But if you stay, what's next could carry you into peace. Because the next part isn't just about God being near. It's about Him staying beside your bed. Even when prayers go silent, let's keep going. What's coming just might be what your soul has waited years to hear. What's coming might be what your soul has waited years to hear. And if you're still here, maybe it's because something deep within you is still hoping that beneath the silence and the stillness, someone is still waiting for you to turn your heart back. You haven't heard His voice in a while. That doesn't mean He stopped sitting beside your bed. Tonight you won't be asked to believe. You'll be invited to rest. The next verse isn't about your faith. It's about His staying power. Have you ever stared at the ceiling and whispered, God, are you still there? And the only answer you got was silence. That silence doesn't mean absence. It means presence. Waiting. Gentle. Still. Undemanding. Tonight He doesn't want you to pray harder or believe louder. He just wants you to breathe and let Him sit beside your bed. Even to your old age and gray hairs I am He who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. Isaiah 46:4 NIV. Yes, even now, even tired, even confused, even if your heart is too numb to feel, He says, I made you, I carry you, I still will. If you've been strong for everyone else, maybe this is your moment to be carried. He carries you, not your strength, not your faith, just Him. Let that settle. Let it repeat until you stop blaming yourself for being tired. You've held everything together for everyone, but inside, you felt yourself unraveling. Mayo Clinic research shows that those who trust in something greater recover faster from grief and stress, not because they're stronger, but because they no longer walk alone. So tonight, don't push, don't strive, just lie back and be carried. If you walk away now, the weight stays on your chest. But if you stay, the next moment might lift what you've tried so long to hide. The next part isn't about effort. It's about peace, the kind that shows up when you stop trying to earn it. Stay with me. The next few verses may teach your anxious heart to rest again. The next few verses may teach your anxious heart to rest again. So if your mind is still racing, if your chest still tightens when you try to sleep, you are not broken. You're not failing. You're just carrying more than anyone knows. But someone knows. And tonight that someone whispers back, you're exhausted, but your thoughts won't let you sleep. What if Scripture doesn't just calm your mind, but rewrites what it believes about rest? In just a moment, you'll hear a verse that knows the exact weight behind your worry. Have you noticed that anxiety always sounds louder at night? When the world goes quiet, your thoughts get louder. You replay conversations. You forecast disasters. You blame yourself for not being enough. But tonight you don't have to fight that voice alone. Because God is not intimidated by your restlessness. He knows the chaos inside your chest. And He still speaks right there in the noise. When anxiety was great within me, your consolation brought me joy. Psalm 94:19 NIV. You hear that it doesn't say, when I conquered anxiety. It says, when anxiety was great within me, even then His presence still brought joy, still brought peace, even now, even to you. If you're still holding your breath, maybe the next whisper will help you let it go. He brings joy, even when the storm is still raging, even when your body says, I can't hold this anymore. He holds you. Picture this. A child wide-eyed at 3 a.m., afraid of the dark, and a father who doesn't say, go back to sleep. Instead, he sits, quiet, present, not fixing, just being. That's what your Father does tonight. He doesn't shush your thoughts. He sits with them until they soften. According to the American Psychological Association, nighttime anxiety is one of the top contributors to chronic insomnia. But guided spiritual reflection, like hearing sacred texts, lowers cortisol and slows brainwave activity into a sleep state faster than silence alone. This is not a message for everyone. It's for you who's tired of trying to be calm. You who's carried too much too long. You who needs to hear this if you pause now. Your thoughts might keep echoing in that same dark loop. But if you stay, the next verse might be the one that breaks it. Because the next part doesn't just speak to your mind. It speaks to your sleep. And the rest you forgot was possible. Stay. What's next might be what your body has waited years to feel again. What's next might be what your body has waited years to feel again. And maybe what it's been waiting for isn't more advice or even more prayer, but something deeper, softer, something that says you don't have to hold it all. You've been trying to sleep, but you're also trying to survive. Tonight, your grip can loosen, not because everything's fixed, but because someone else is holding it. In a moment, the next verse will show you how real rest starts when you stop being strong. Imagine this. You're sitting on the edge of your bed, hands clenched, mind spinning, trying to figure out how to make tomorrow less overwhelming. But beside you, there's an empty chair. Not truly empty. It's where God has been sitting, quiet, watching, waiting, not waiting for you to perform, just to trust. In peace, I will lie down and sleep for you alone. Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 4:8 NIV. Did you hear that? Not when everything is resolved, not when I feel calm, but in peace I will lie down. Why? Because the Lord makes you safe. Not your plans, not your effort, just Him. If your thoughts say, don't let go, stay, the next few lines might teach your body how to trust again. You are safe, not because you're in control, but because He is. Repeat, slowly, like a lullaby for your nervous system. You've been carrying it all. Finances, emotions, expectations, because no one else seemed to. The National Sleep Foundation found that people who actively reflect on safety before bed fall asleep 30% faster than those who don't. Not because circumstances change, but because belief does. So tonight, unclench your hands. Exhale. This is for you, you who's strong for everyone. You who lie awake not from noise, but from invisible pressure. You don't have to keep it together tonight. You just have to be held. If you get up now, your body may keep thinking it's alone in this. But if you stay, the next whisper may tell your bones what your heart forgot. It's okay to rest, because next, it won't just be about trust. It will be about the voice that speaks when no one else calls. And that voice might be the one you've needed your whole life. And that voice might be the one you've needed your whole life. But maybe you haven't heard it. Not because He isn't speaking, but because you've spent so long believing no one would. When no one checks in, when the phone doesn't ring, when the world seems too loud for you to be noticed, God still calls your name. You haven't heard your name spoken in kindness in days, maybe weeks. But tonight, God doesn't just see you. He speaks to you. And the verse you're about to hear might be how He says, you haven't been forgotten. Think of the last time your phone lit up, but it wasn't the person you were hoping for, or when you reached out and got no response. That kind of loneliness is quiet, but it's heavy. Tonight you don't have to pretend it's not there. You can lay it down because someone is already reaching back. Fear, not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1 ESV. He doesn't just see people. He sees you. He doesn't just love the world. He knows your name. And He says, you are mine. Even when no one else calls. Even when you forget who you are. He never does. If you've ever wondered if anyone would truly come close, stay. The next few lines might be the most personal words your heart has heard in years. I have called you by name. You are mine. You are mine. Say it until your mind believes it more than your memories do. Rejection leaves a scar that silence can reopen again and again. A 2020 study from Johns Hopkins found that personal affirmation, especially hearing your name in a positive context, reduces feelings of isolation by 40%. Tonight, let God call you, not by title, not by shame, but by name, yours. This is not about people. It's about you. You who wonders if your story still matters. You who needs to be reminded God never lost track of you. If you close this now, that silence might just keep echoing. But if you stay, the next whisper might remind you why you were never invisible. Because next, the whisper won't just be personal, it'll be powerful. And if this brought you peace tonight, maybe subscribe so the next whisper doesn't miss you. Because peace isn't always a feeling. Sometimes it's a battle. And sometimes the fiercest fight of all is the one happening inside you. You want peace, but part of you doesn't think you deserve it. Tonight, you'll hear a truth that doesn't wait for you to be ready. It fights to reach you. And the next verse might prove that peace isn't passive, it's protective. It's hard to explain, right? How you can be exhausted but still tense, hopeful but still bracing for the worst. You're tired of living like you're under attack, even when the room is quiet. That's why you need more than calm. You need protection. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14, NIV. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is trust. Because while you rest, He fights. He stands guard over your mind, over your breath, over the places where panic used to rule. If you've been fighting battles no one knows about, stay. This next whisper may remind you, you're not the only one standing. The Lord fights for me. I can be still. I can be still. Say it until your heart believes what your fear has tried to erase. You've been in survival mode for so long. Peace feels unnatural. A Stanford study revealed that trauma survivors often misinterpret peace as danger because their nervous systems are conditioned to expect harm. So, tonight, let your stillness be sacred. Let your breath be prayer. Let your body learn it is not under threat anymore. This is for you whose mind scans for danger out of habit. You who have carried every what if, like a backpack full of bricks. You don't have to keep watch tonight. God is. If you walk away now, the fear might keep pretending to be necessary. But if you stay, you may find that peace was braver than the panic. Because in the next part, the peace won't just defend you, it will dwell inside you. And if this part helped your battle ease, consider subscribing so the next whisper can find you right on time. The peace won't just defend you, it will dwell inside you. Because true peace doesn't come when life is calm. It comes even if it's not. Because real peace isn't just around you. It lives inside you. Your world might look fine, but your body knows you haven't rested in days. What if peace didn't wait for everything to go right, but showed up right where you are? The verse you're about to hear doesn't ask for quiet, it gives it. You've been wearing armor for so long, you forgot what it feels like to take it off. Smiling when you're anxious, helping others when you're empty, trying to sleep when your thoughts are still marching like soldiers. But inside that armor, there's a soul longing to exhale. And tonight, maybe it can. Breathe in. Hold it gently. Now, exhale slowly. Let the air remind you you don't have to fight to earn this peace. It's already been gifted. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body, you were called to peace. Colossians 3:15 NIV. Let it rule. Not anxiety, not what ifs, not the ghosts of conversations replayed at 2 a.m. Let peace take over from the inside out. If your heart's still tight, stay. What's next might be the sentence that helps it finally release. Let peace rule. Not panic, not pressure, not pain. Peace rules here now. Repeat it, whisper it, breathe through it. You've been the calm one, the strong one, it's all good one. But that mask is heavy. The University of Michigan found that guided breathing combined with scripture reduced nighttime heart rate variability by over 25%, helping people fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. So tonight, let go, not of your hope, but of the armor. Let peace move from verse to your chest, to your bones. You who thought this peace was for someone holier, you who wondered if rest was still meant for you. It is. You're not too far. You're not too late. You're not too broken. If you stop now, the armor might stay. But if you keep going, the next words may be what helps you finally take it off. Because in the next part, we're not just going deeper, we're going softer. If this helped loosen something tonight, subscribe now so the next whisper finds you when you need it most. But maybe what needs loosening isn't tension, it's shame. Because some nights, the thing keeping you awake isn't the noise outside, but the noise of what you still regret. You've apologized 100 times, but the guilt still whispers when it's quiet. Tonight, you won't be asked to forget. You'll be invited to receive something stronger than memory. In the next few lines, you'll hear what God does with the parts of you you've tried to bury. It's like spilling ink on your favorite shirt. You wash it, scrub it, but the stain remains. So you stop wearing it, even if it's clean. That's what shame does. It convinces you, because it was dirty. It still is. But tonight, God doesn't just forgive the moment. He restores the soul underneath. Breathe in. Think of the one thing you still carry shame for. Now exhale and picture it being held, not judged. You, Lord, are forgiving and good, abounding in love to all who call to you. Psalm 86:5 NIV. He's not just willing to forgive. He abounds in it, overflowing, more than enough for every stain, even the ones you think are permanent. If there's a part of you still convinced it's too late, stay. This next part might rewrite that sentence. Forgiving, good, abounding in love. That's who he is. Even for you, especially for you. Repeat until the echo of shame starts to soften. You've moved on, but you still flinch when you remember. Still wince when you think of what they would say if they knew. A recent Harvard study showed that those who internalize forgiveness not just know, it cognitively experience 31% less anxiety and sleep disruption. So tonight, don't try to undo the past. Let mercy cover it. Because shame can't heal you, but kindness can. You who live with invisible guilt. You who wonders if you'll ever feel clean again. You're not your stain. You're the soul he never stopped loving. If you pause now, the memory might keep defining you. But if you stay, the next whisper may show you how grace redefines everything. Because next, the whisper isn't just about where you've been. It's about who you still are. If you want this mercy to keep finding you, click subscribe so the next whisper won't miss the moment you need it most. But sometimes what we long for isn't mercy for what we've done, but meaning for who we are. Because some days you do your best, you give everything, and still, no one claps, no one notices, no one stays. You've shown up for everyone. But when was the last time someone showed up for you? This whisper won't just remind you you're seen. It will prove it. And the next verse might become the quiet applause your soul's been missing. You pick up the dishes they left behind. You answer the calls even when your energy is gone. You cry in your car so no one else has to feel uncomfortable. You keep being the strong one without ever being told it matters. But it matters. You matter, even in the unseen, especially there. Inhale. Let your chest rise, not from effort, but from knowing you were never invisible to him. Exhale. Let the breath remind you, you are not forgotten. The Lord sees, not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7 ESV. Your worth was never tied to applause, or attention, or output. It was always in the heart, and he sees it always. If no one's ever said thank you for what you've carried, stay. The next whisper might say it for them. He sees your heart. He sees your hurt. He sees your hope. He sees you. Let that settle until it replaces the silence of being unnoticed. You felt like your best effort wasn't enough because no one affirmed it. A study from Berkeley shows that long-term lack of emotional validation can cause chronic fatigue, sleep disturbance, and internalized shame. But tonight, you're not waiting on their applause. You're resting in his recognition. So lie down. Let the God who sees be the one who holds. You who wondered if the quiet meant you failed. You who needed to hear that you're more than your productivity. You are. You've always been. If you stop here, the silence might keep sounding like shame. But if you stay, the next whisper may sound like love. Because in the next part, it won't be about what you've done. It'll be about the presence that never leaves you, whether or not you perform. And if this felt like the validation your soul needed, subscribe now, so the next whisper finds you without you needing to earn it. Because there's one thing you never had to earn. One presence that didn't depend on your performance. One closeness that wasn't afraid of your worst day. He didn't leave, even when they did. People promised they'd stay, but they didn't. There is one who stayed and still does. And in the next verse, you'll hear the difference between human love and holy nearness. You packed away the photos. You stopped checking your phone. You stopped expecting someone to walk back in. But silence doesn't mean you're alone. Absence doesn't mean abandonment. Because the presence you need most has already been here, waiting, still. Inhale. Let yourself feel what you've avoided, the ache of being left behind. Exhale. Now let yourself feel something deeper. You were never truly left. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy 31:6 NIV. They left. He didn't. They forgot. He stayed. They moved on. He moved closer. If you've ever been left mid-sentence, mid-prayer, mid-pain stay, the next whisper might hold you longer than they did. Never leaves. Never forsakes. Always with me. Always. Say it. Let it be the new rhythm in your chest. Being left changes something in you. You question if you're worth staying for. Psychology Today reports that feelings of abandonment are one of the strongest predictors of late-night anxiety and intrusive thoughts. Tonight, stop measuring your worth by who left. Start remembering who stayed. The presence beside you isn't conditional. It's eternal. You who replayed the goodbye more than the hello. You who waited for the phone to buzz. You who still miss them. But tonight what you need most isn't someone who comes back. It's someone who never left. If you stop now, the silence might keep sounding like rejection. But if you stay, you may begin to feel the nearness that was never gone. Because in the next part, we won't just rest in His presence. We'll start believing it was never based on our perfection. And if this part brought comfort tonight, subscribe now, so the next whisper meets you exactly where you are. And where you are right now, maybe it's messy, maybe it's complicated, maybe it's not the kind of place you'd invite someone into. But God already walked in, and He's not leaving. Maybe the deepest fear isn't that you're broken, but that no one would stay once they saw the pieces. This whisper won't fix everything, but it will remind you still belong. And the next verse may be what your shame has tried to keep from you all along. You've closed the door to certain memories, blocked off rooms in your soul. You let people see the hallway, but not the mess. But God walks in anyway, takes off His shoes, and sits with you there, not to condemn, but to comfort. Inhale. Picture the room you've never let anyone enter. Exhale. Now imagine light entering that room, not to expose, but to heal. A bruised reed He will not break, and a smoldering wick He will not snuff out. Isaiah 42:3 NIV. He doesn't crush what's already fragile. He doesn't extinguish what's barely burning. He restores. He rekindles. He stays. If you've ever felt like you had to hide the damage, stay. The next whisper might be the one that loves the part you always covered. Not too broken, not too far, not too late. You still belong. Repeat it. Let it soak into the cracks. Shame says they'd leave if they knew. Love says I'm here because I know. A 2021 UCLA study shows that social rejection, real or anticipated, activates the same part of the brain as physical pain. But consistent reassurance of belonging rewires the response over time. Tonight, let this truth rewire you. You're not the exception to grace. You're the reason for it. You who wonders if you've disqualified yourself. You who's tried to be less much just to fit in. You don't have to shrink here. You're already chosen. Already home. If you leave now, the shame might stay louder than truth. But if you stay, what's next may teach you how to be loved even when you're not trying. Because in the next part, we'll talk about the rest that comes not after you fix yourself, but when you finally stop trying to. And if this made something in you exhale, subscribe now, so the next whisper finds the part of you still waiting to belong. But maybe the part of you that needs rest the most is the one that still believes you have to earn it. Earn the right to sleep, to exhale, to feel peace. But what if you don't? You've been performing for rest, not just for people. Tonight, God's rest won't wait for you to finish the to-do list. And the next verse might feel like being held while everything's still undone. There's always something left. A task, a bill, a relationship that needs healing, a mess you still blame yourself for. You keep saying, I'll rest once, but that once never comes. God didn't ask you to earn rest. He offered it, right in the middle of undone. Inhale, let go of what still feels incomplete. Exhale, you're allowed to be unfinished and still deeply loved. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28 NIV. Not, I'll give rest to those who earn it. Not once you're okay, come find me. But come now, tired, weary, still carrying things you don't talk about. And he'll give you rest, freely. If your mind says, not yet, stay. The next whisper might teach your heart how to rest. Even now, he gives rest. Even when I haven't earned it. Even when I haven't fixed it. He gives rest. Whisper it until your chest softens. You've been equating productivity with worth. Even your rest feels like it must be justified. The American Institute of Stress found that over 60% of people report guilt during rest, especially high achievers and caretakers. But regular spiritual grounding removes guilt triggers and helps retrain the brain's rest response. So tonight, practice sacred rest. No performance, no proving, just presence and peace. You who keeps one eye open even in bed. You who dream of sleep but feel like you don't deserve it. You don't have to be done to be allowed to lie down. You're not loved because you achieved. You're loved because you're his. If you stop here, the guilt might keep stealing your rest. But if you stay, the next whisper may teach your soul how to breathe without earning it. Because next, we're going into the kind of stillness that doesn't just calm your body, it heals your identity. And if this allowed you to exhale even a little, subscribe now so the next whisper meets you before the guilt does. Because what if silence wasn't absence? What if stillness wasn't punishment? What if this quiet is where you finally remember who you were? Before the world told you otherwise, you've spent years being someone for others, but you're still not sure who you are alone. This whisper won't ask you to prove anything. It will simply remind you of the you God never forgot. And the next verse might gently return you to yourself. You've looked in the mirror and seen a role, the strong one, the caregiver, the achiever, the quiet one. But what if none of that was the whole truth? What if the deepest version of you wasn't defined by what you did, but by the one who designed you? Inhale. Let your shoulders drop. You don't have to carry the version of yourself you outgrew. Exhale. Make room for the gentler truth to rise. For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus. Ephesians 2:10 NLT. You are not your job, your wounds, your titles, or your failures. You are a masterpiece, and He's not done restoring you. If you've ever forgotten the sound of your own, soul stay. The next whisper may help you hear it again. Masterpiece, not mistake, made new, not too late. Whisper it. Let it echo louder than every name you gave yourself to survive. Sometimes silence feels empty, but maybe it's just a space, waiting to be filled with truth. The University of Virginia found that structured stillness paired with self-affirming belief rewires identity faster than external validation alone. So tonight, don't fill the silence. Let it speak. Let it call you back, not to who you were expected to be, but who you always were. You who forgot the last time you felt whole without achieving. You who performs quietness instead of living in it. You were never meant to disappear into roles. You were meant to reflect the one who called you worthy. If you close this now, you might keep chasing mirrors that never show your soul. But if you stay, the next whisper may let you finally see yourself again. Because next, we don't just see ourselves more clearly, we start speaking to ourselves like God always has. And if this part felt like a mirror your heart had lost, subscribe now so the next whisper finds you just as you are becoming. Because now that you're remembering who you are, it's time to speak to yourself like someone who knows your worth has never changed. You've said things to yourself you'd never say to someone you love. This whisper won't just tell you what God says about you. It'll help you say it too. And the next verse might become the line you repeat when old lies come knocking. Sometimes your loudest critic is the one inside your own head. You know how to encourage others, but when it comes to you, you rehearse failures, repeat guilt, and call it truth. But tonight, your voice can change. Your narrative can soften. Your words can begin to heal you. Inhale. Imagine the voice you use on a hurting child. Exhale. Now try using it on yourself. Let the weak say, I am strong. Joel 3:10, KJV. Not because you feel strong, but because speaking truth shapes it. Because your words build what you live inside. If your thoughts have been against you, stay. The next whisper might turn them into your ally. I am strong. I am seen. I am carried. I am loved. Whisper it with the rhythm of your breath until it sounds familiar again. You've survived battles that no one noticed, but you're still bruised by the things you say to yourself. A Mayo Clinic study shows that consistent positive self-talk can significantly lower cortisol levels and improve sleep quality in those with anxiety-related insomnia. So tonight, borrow God's words. Say what He already believes about you. Make your voice a safe place for your soul to rest. You who hears echoes of mistakes louder than mercy. You who call yourself too much, too late, and not enough. Tonight, call yourself what He calls you, whole, held, His. If you stop here, old words might keep narrating your life. But if you stay, the next whisper may give your soul a whole new language. Because next, we aren't just going to speak new words, we're going to believe them. And if this helped change how you speak to yourself, subscribe now so the final whisper meets you with the truth you've started to believe. But what if there's one more truth, one more voice, the only one that actually gets the last word? Because when the world goes quiet, when your inner critic hushes, when the expectations finally fade, there's still one voice that speaks, and it never changes. Other people named you, pain labeled you, even you believed them. But none of that is what God calls you. In the final whisper, you'll hear the only identity that lasts. You wore them like a second skin. Too much, too quiet, too broken, not enough. But God never agreed with those labels. He calls you by a different name, one written before shame, before fear, before performance. Inhale. Picture the loudest lie you believed about yourself. Exhale. Now imagine it falling off like dust shaken from a robe. See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Isaiah 49:16, NIV. You're not a mistake. You're not forgotten. You're not replaceable. You are known, held, written into eternity. If you've ever needed to hear something true about yourself, stay. This last whisper might rewrite more than just tonight. I am engraved. I am remembered. I am who He says I am. Let this be your final thought. Before sleep comes, you've spent so long trying to become someone, but you already are someone loved, someone chosen. Neuroscience confirms that the final voice you hear before sleep shapes your subconscious more than any other input. Tonight, let that voice be divine. Sleep knowing you are not who your wounds said you were. You are who God never stopped calling you. You who needed one more confirmation. You who questioned if this whole series was for someone stronger. It was for you. It's still for you. It always will be. If this whisper found you tonight, I wonder what part of it echoed deepest. Was there a verse, a line, a moment that met you where you are? You don't have to share, but if you do, I'll be reading your words like a prayer. Leave a comment, Not just for me, but maybe for someone else who needs to know they're not alone. And if you're ready for more nights like this, subscribe gently, quietly, whenever you're ready.